This is the conscious hour, and our supreme leader, Donald Trump, he's all excited. We're hitting them hard, and we're going to win this battle. And yeah, right. Israel attacked, the U.S. attacked, and now Iran gets to get rid of all of their smaller missiles before they bring in what I call the big enchilada. But let's just watch what's going on right now. You with urgent breaking developments out of Israel. And what we are about to show you, what is being documented right now by thousands of people on the ground, is something that the architects of this conflict never expected to be explaining on day two. The second wave has arrived. Iran is striking Tel Aviv again. And this time the scale is larger. The penetrations are deeper. And the defense systems that were supposed to hold are not holding. The videos are coming in faster than we can process them. Multiple angles, multiple neighborhoods, multiple points of impact across the Tel Aviv metropolitan area. Fires that were already burning from the first wave are now joined by new explosions. The skyline that Israelis have looked at their entire lives is unrecognizable tonight. Column after column of smoke rising against the darkness. Emergency services overwhelmed. Sirens that have not stopped since the first wave began, now joined by new alerts, new warnings, new impact reports from districts that were untouched an hour ago. And the defense systems, both of them, are failing to hold the line. Let us be precise and direct about what we are seeing because the language matters here. The Iron Dome is not simply being overwhelmed by volume. The American Patriot batteries that were repositioned to the Israeli theater as part of Washington's force posture ahead of this operation are not performing at the rates their operational specifications promise. We are watching in real time a systematic penetration of the most expensive and most celebrated air defense architecture ever assembled in a single theater of operations. The second wave is doing what the first wave could not fully complete. It is demonstrating that the first wave was not a lucky break. It was a proof of concept. Iran tested the gaps in the first wave. Iranian military planners watched what was intercepted, what was not intercepted, which approach vectors generated successful interceptions and which did not, which altitudes. So basically, they've calculated it out and they launched some of their lower speed hypersonic missiles. They haven't even touched the big enchiladas, Mach 12, Mach 16, and they just closed the Strait of Hormuz, which means the oil prices are going to go sky high. Anybody tries to stop if the U.S. tries to stop them in the strait, every one of the military ships will be sunk. Now let's going to go over to this other screen here because this is Dubai, pardon me, Saudi Arabia is now being hit. So we're going to swing over to this screen here and we're going to watch Saudi Arabia getting slammed. It's all the same night, folks. Yep. Here we go with this one.
The Strait of Hormuz was always the headline. Every analyst, every forecast, every war game placed the strait at the center of the economic catastrophe scenario. 20 million barrels per day, 3 kilometers of inbound lane, the assumption that closing it was Iran's ultimate weapon. They were all looking at the wrong target, because while the world watched the strait, Iran's missiles were already in the air toward Riyadh, toward the oil-rich eastern provinces of Saudi Arabia, toward the energy infrastructure that sits outside the strait entirely, that no American carrier strike group is positioned to protect, that no Patriot battery was repositioned to defend because every defense planner in the region was watching the strait. Saudi Arabia's foreign minister confirmed it. Iran targeted the capital in the eastern provinces. The eastern provinces of Saudi Arabia are not a geographic footnote. They are the location of Ghawar, the largest conventional oil field on Earth. They are where Aramco processes 10 million barrels of Saudi crude every single day before it enters the export pipeline. They are the single most valuable piece of energy infrastructure on the planet. And Iran fired at them on the same morning that Trump announced major combat operations in Tehran. The Strait of Hormuz closing would remove 20 million barrels per day from global supply. Saudi Arabia's eastern province infrastructure going offline removes another 10 million. That is 30 million barrels per day. That is not $150 oil. That is a number that no model has published because no model assumed both could happen simultaneously. Monday morning, markets open. And nobody in Washington has a plan for what they are about to see. Here's what Gower is. It has been producing oil since 1948. It stretches 280 kilometers across the eastern province of Saudi Arabia. At peak production, it produced 5 million barrels per day from a single field. Today, it produces approximately 3.8 million barrels per day, which alone would make it the fifth largest oil producing country on Earth if it were a nation. The Abqaiq processing facility nearby is where approximately 7% of the entire world's oil supply is processed before export. In 2019, a drone and missile attack on Abqaiq attributed to Iranian-backed forces temporarily knocked out 5.7 million barrels per day of Saudi production and caused the largest single-day oil price spike in history. That 2019 attack was conducted by proxy forces using a fraction of the capabilities that Iran's military has demonstrated this morning. Today's strikes were conducted directly by Iranian ballistic missiles and drones against a country that had officially condemned the American operation and declared neutrality. Iran did not respect that neutrality. Iran struck anyway, because from Tehran's strategic perspective, Saudi Arabia's oil infrastructure is not a neutral civilian asset. It is the financial backbone of the American-aligned Gulf order that has surrounded Iran for 4 decades. Striking it is not escalation beyond the conflict. It is the conflict. Stay with me, because the Saudi strike changes every economic model that was published before sunrise and makes the Strait of Hormuz conversation secondary to something much larger and much faster. The 2019 Abqaiq attack produced a 15% single-day oil price spike from a temporary disruption to 5.7 million barrels per day. Today's Iranian strikes targeted a broader set of infrastructure across the eastern provinces, and the scale of the Iranian military response has been described by every news organization covering it as unprecedented compared to previous retaliations. Saudi Arabia,
which means really simply the gas prices are going to go skyrocketing, and Donald Trump and Netanyahu are the only people to blame for what's coming next. The U.S. started something with Israel, and you think the U.S. is going to come out of this in a shining glory? No, no. They haven't even seen the new missiles they have, the Mach 12, Mach 16 missiles. They should have never opened up this can of worms, but hey, karma's a bitch. And it's time to free the world of this old world mentality that we have the right and the might to go into any country and dictate what their world should be like. And we're witnessing it live on television. This is the Conscious Hour, folks. Please share these videos, hit the like button, share, and join. Sign up, be a member, subscribe. Thanks for tuning into the Conscious Hour. I'll be posting all night, all day until this thing is over. Thanks for tuning in.